Hey, everybody, this is Derek, and tonight I have a special Yuletide guest, or Ghoultide guest, as Mr. Macabre would say, that got horror author Brian Asman. Brian, welcome. You have just written a book. Let's see if I can stay on camera. Return of the Living Elves. Novella, I guess, is really technically rather than novel. But fantastic, fun, a little bit scary. So, zombie elf story. I mean, how scary can it be with zombie elves, right?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Derek. I'm really excited to be here. And, the thing about horror is that it doesn't necessarily have to be scary all the time. But, I think the idea of zombies, no matter what kind of creature the zombie is still, it taps into a primal fear for most of us. So,
Yeah, okay. You gave me a little taste of your inspiration yesterday when we met up again. That you just want to do something fun for Christmas, but what was your inspiration for this particular story?
yeah, so I found out there was a convention called Season Screamings in Pasadena that was going to be a Christmas horror convention. And that just got me thinking. I was like, I should do a Christmas horror book. I had the title popped into my head, and I love Return of the Living Dead. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So the idea of writing like a Christmas tribute to of the Living Dead seemed like a really fun idea. So everything just kind of went from there.
Okay. And you are completely open about the Return of the Living Dead influence. You have a lovely poem up front explaining how you are ripping it off.
Yes.
Although you are not. I mean, that's the thing. While I did recognize some beats were similar, it holds its surprises because, of course, it's Christmas themed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to start with the setup of Return of the Living Dead, and then after that setup, it just veers off into some really crazy directions. So,
Indeed, you've got juggalos, elves, mall
whoop,
Santas.
whoop.
Uh, I don't know enough about juggalo culture other than I recognize that that's what was going on. But you also, I think what I appreciated most about this was there is a strong hint of backstory and world building that has nothing to do with the zombie films, uh, involving your Christmas, your parent. I don't know what you want to call it, fairy mythos, uh, and just I. This is going to be the weirdest thing anybody's probably asked an author. Please promise me you're not going to write more of it, because I love just filling in how much you gave and yet not. So it was really fun. It made it fun.
Yeah, I have no plans to write more in that particular world. Like that's for me part of the fun when I write a book is just to really make you feel like you've entered an entire world that is already pre-existing. And I think that's important, like because I'm asking my readers to like accept a lot. I'm asking you to accept zombie elves. I'm asking you to accept, well, a whole bunch of other fucking weird shit in the book. So what I want to sell that as best I can. And so it's got to be a fully realized world. And I love hinting at things. One of my favorite pieces of writing advice ever was Tarantino was talking about Pulp Fiction, and he pointed out in the interview this line when Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames, was that Ving
Ving
Rhames?
Rhames,
Ving
yes,
Rhames,
Ving
yeah.
Rhames.
I know it's Marcellus Wallace. I was about to do the whole like I'm gonna name one actor and then name the character the other one plays. I didn't want to do that. It's Butch and Marcellus Wallace are in the basement, right? And the redneck guy, the store owner goes, put him in somebody's old room. Put him in Russell's old room. That's what it is, right? And it's just this tossed off line, but it hints at all these other things that have happened in this space that we're not privy to and never will be because and it makes it feel like a real space because of that.
Yeah, I do like the toss off. I'm reminded of, as a former Blue Blaze irregular, that in Buckaroo Banzai, you never know what that watermelon is doing there, but I know that is spawned 3 decades or more of speculation. So that's what I love about that. You, as an author, I think what I enjoyed of your humor is injecting yourself in. There's at one point, I can't remember the specific reference, but or perhaps something more modern is your reference. Like you do a cultural reference and then say, well, fill in your own. Uh, and I admit, when I met you last year at Season Screamings, I picked up Tales of Horrorgasm, your comic, or anthology that you publish and contribute to, and so this was really my first exposure to your prose writing. So, is that your style? Do you inject yourself into your narrative this much?
Not always, no. It really depends on the book. It depends on the tone. It depends on what vibe I'm going for. Some of the books I've released are a lot more serious, or semi-serious. This is more of an explicit comedy, and it's super high energy. And one of the things that really has influenced me over the last couple of years are the Deadpool comics and films. So I think that's probably a little bit of where the fourth wall breaking comes from. But I don't know. I'm just kind of in a groove, and I just do whatever feels right in the moment. And sometimes it feels right to talk directly to the reader.
Yeah, it fit as a storytelling for Christmas. I thought, oh yes, this is a bedtime story, a very very twisted bedtime story. You also have a very interesting political creation in there, a method of rule called memocracy, which I love that
Yes.
you footnote and explain that rulers, I won't say who, are chosen not by their actual ability to do the job, but their ability to impersonate a celebrity. So if uh, if you were living in a democracy, which celebrity would you wish to be impersonated?
Which celebrity? So it would be the celebrity that someone's impersonating. And actually, I guess I should say for the record, the way it works in the book is actually it's who can do the best impression of the last guy who was in office. So,
I
yeah,
misinterpret. I guess
yeah,
yes. It's a
yeah.
subtle difference. Yes.
I
Okay.
might not have explained this fictional political system that I came up with the best, but I don't know. We were talking about Deadpool. I could deal with someone doing a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool impression in office all day long. So let's go with that.
All right. So for 2024, if anyone's watching that has political aspirations, this is it. I don't think Ryan Reynolds can because he's a Canadian citizen, so he cannot impersonate himself into the White House. But
Yeah, and I'm completely against celebrities running for office. Let me be clear. It would have to be some random person who is doing an impression of Ryan Reynolds.
okay, yes, yes.
So
No, I'm glad that we've straightened that out in case we were going
yes,
to cause mass chaos in the next 2 years of the election cycle. This is also printed under your own imprint, Mutated Media. Although, as we were
yes.
talking yesterday, there's the possibility, of course, getting picked up by for larger distribution. For your previous, yeah, I'll go ahead and say the title. Your previous book, "Man, Fuck This House," is possibly getting a wider release or from a larger imprint, right?
Oh,
Right.
it's not possibly. It is.
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
what you could say, so
Oh yeah, no, it's okay. This has all been announced in Publishers Marketplace, but Blackstone bought my previous book, Man, Fuck This House, and another unreleased novel in a 2-book deal. So we closed that deal a couple months ago, but that's all public knowledge.
okay,
So
well, congratulations. But in this as well, so there's a chance that, and you can find people, Return of the Living Elves. I'm just making sure it doesn't
yeah,
go out of focus on StreamYard. That Return of the Living Elves is available on Amazon, and I will be including a link on the Fanboy Planet page, which I think, if Amazon's not lying to us, could order it tonight or tomorrow. That would be the 19th or 20th, and get it in time for Christmas.
yes,
Delightful bedtime story on Christmas Eve, because that Christmas Carol thing's really tired. But what I thought was very generous of you, or just curious, because it was actually really good, it was a good story, that you
thank you.
included a friend's short story in the back as well, The Murderous Egypt, which I loved as a dialect piece as well, narrated by a ghost. So, what is the editorial mandate of Mutated Media?
So yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up. I love that story. It's by my friend Shelley Lyons. She has a book coming out in February called Like Real from Ghoulish Books, and that's going to be an amazing. It's a really funny and weird book. It's about a guy who gets a replacement prosthetic hand that starts growing like a clone of him, and it gets really weird. But look for that book in February. So yeah, with mutated media, it's only to put out my own books, but sometimes I just like to include a backup story from one of my friends in the book and just get a little crossover appeal.
Yeah, I appreciate it because I might not have discovered Shelley Lyons otherwise. So I really like that. That's something you did. Hope that you do
Yeah,
that in the future. Give people a hand up. And
that's the
hey,
plan. Yeah, it also helps pad out the book, honestly. So when you're working with novellas, like it gives them a little heft.
yeah, I mean, I'm just going like cleverly. I don't see the price tag on this one, but but that's okay. People, seriously, it is a great, fun read. Return of the Living Elves, and of course, if you go to Amazon, you can then find much of Brian's back catalog as well. Because I checked this out last night to make sure I wasn't crazy, and there it is. So yeah, any final thoughts before I let you go tonight?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add you can also find my books in most Barnes and Nobles and a lot of indie bookstores as well. Especially if it's a specialty bookstore like Bucket of Blood Books in Chicago or Butcher Cabin Books in Louisville, Kentucky. But just go to your local bookstore, and if they don't already have it, ask them to order me. You can also buy signed copies on my website www.brianasmanbooks.com. Just click on that merch button and you can buy signed copies of everything I've ever put out.
Okay, and I would be remiss not to also shout out where we met up yesterday, which is, of course, Dark Delicacies in Burbank. So my
Yep.
hometown bookstore. Absolutely support your indie bookstores. That is 100% what we need to do. So thank you for taking the time tonight, Brian. And I'll be talking to with the next book, I suppose. So great. Thanks for the read.
All right. Thanks, Derek. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any Fanboy Planet video content. And visit fanboyplanet.com for other features, reviews, interviews, previews, and of course, listening to the Fanboy Planet podcast. And remember, use your powers for good.